On August 23rd, Shilo Sanders lost his cool in the Buccaneers preseason game and threw a punch at Zach Davidson.
One swing and the internet decided a legacy. He blew it. He was baited. That name doesn't buy you immunity in the league. You've heard every version already, because on August 23rd, in a steamy preseason game that was supposed to be background noise, Shilo Sanders lost his cool and threw a punch at Buffalo tight end Zach Davidson after the whistle, and the NFL hammered him for it. Flag. Ejection. Next day, waiver wire. And when the microphones turned to his father, Deion Primetime Sanders, the human megaphone, he didn't rage, didn't spin, didn't run interference. He gave you a tight-lipped, you don't want to know. Then a Bible verse. That's the story you clicked on, and yes, this is that clip. But the story you'll leave with is bigger. How a split-second punch collided with a lifetime of expectations. How a father chose coach over crusader. And why the gap between college fame and NFL reality feels like falling off a cliff in the dark. Here's why this matters now. Undrafted players live on a one-mistake lead.
Would you say to Shilo Sanders after that ejection?
I know you can't throw punches in this league. I mean, that's inexcusable. They're gonna get you every time.
Every snap is a resume bullet. Every whistle is a border wall you do not cross. And when your last name is Sanders, when your dad conquered 2 pro sports, when every drill you run becomes content, when every shrug is a headline, you are auditioning for the league and auditioning against your own surname. That's the stakes. I've watched this league grind up 5-star pedigrees and turn them into cautionary tales. I've seen undrafted guys survive by being invisible until they're undeniable. This is one of those inflection points, the moment where hype, history, and habit collide with the cold math of roster cuts. So here's the roadmap. First, I'll walk you through the moment, what actually happened, why it snapped, and what the tape doesn't show you about undrafted life. Then I'll get to the twist you didn't expect. Deion's response. Not as a viral soundbite machine, but as a father who's learned that the NFL does not negotiate with brand power. After that, we'll peel back the fallout. The locker room remorse, Todd Bowles' no-nonsense verdict, the social media bonfire, Michael Irvin's theory on why the Bucs cut him when they did, Antonio Brown doing Antonio Brown, and the real mechanics of waivers, practice squads, and a potential detour through Canada. Along the way, I'll show you how a single surname can be both elevator and anchor, and why the expectations versus reality gap is the one hit nobody prepares you to take. Let's rewind to the snap that turned into a storm. Preseason football, the NFL's job fair with helmets on. Shilo Sanders, 25, undrafted in April, grabbed a door handle the league rarely leaves unlocked. He'd been offered a lifeline by Tampa Bay, not a red carpet. Through camp and 3 preseason games, he'd logged modest numbers across limited snaps. For solo tackles, a handful of special teams looks, just enough to keep his name on a meeting agenda. In a game where the Bucs had a slim early cushion and every rep meant oxygen, Shilo ended up locked with Zach Davidson, a 6'7", 251-pound tight end trying to make his own case. Routine run, bodies colliding, whistle blows, and the shoving doesn't. Davidson stays sticky. It looks late, it looks extra, it looks like disrespect in a league where respect is currency. You can see the temperature spike. Then comes the right hook, helmet meets knuckles, the worst equation in football. The flag flies, the ejection follows, and the camera feasts. Context, application, framing, here's the loop. Context. That wasn't just a punch. It was frustration with a return address. Undrafted guys come in hot because average gets you cut, but too hot gets you cut faster. Application. The officials don't grade on a curve, and front offices are already counting chairs before the music stops. Framing. Expectation said, prime son plays with an edge. Reality said, the league calls that a liability.
Took him off.
That
They
shadow
took him
you
off
felt,
because the owner
it
said
was the
take him
margin
off.
for error
I
disappearing.
don't want that guy.
And that brings us to the part most people thought they could script, Deion's reaction. If you expected a courtroom defense, you got a chapel. After the game, he gave a clipped, honest line, no profanity, but the thought was there. And within a day reposted a verse about persecution not ending in defeat. No excuses for Shilo. No flamethrower aimed at officials. No lecture about being targeted because of the name on the back. For the loudest brand in college football, it was a whisper that carried weight. That's the strongest point in this saga because it tells you something that doesn't fit the usual primetime thumbnail. In the NFL, Deion understands his voice can't wave a penalty flag off, can't reg-loo the helmet to the discipline, can't gift wrap a roster spot. In college, he could tilt the room. Here, the room doesn't tilt. Zoom in on the father, not the feed. This is the same dad who, during a targeting ejection in 2023, hugged his son first and sermonized later. Now the sons, plural, are hitting pro headwinds. Shedeur had his own rough night in Cleveland. 8-5 sacks, completed 3 passes, and suddenly the timeline flooded with conspiracy theories about coaches sabotaging him. Deion's public posture didn't feed the outrage machine. He spoke in terms of effort over ego. Don't be the best, give your best, and let the league's ecosystem do what it does. Reward consistency, punish volatility, and ignore surnames on Tuesdays. Back in Tampa, the team message was granite. Todd Bowles didn't sugarcoat the obvious. You can't throw punches in this league. They'll get you every time. Learn from it. Translation: talent buys chances. Discipline keeps them. No door-slamming theatrics, no soapbox. Just the quiet thud of a decision that had probably been circling anyway. That's another expectation versus reality check. Expectation: the punch alone ended it. Reality: the punch sealed an envelope that was already addressed. Shilo's snaps were scarce. His tape was a sketch, not a portrait. He was fighting uphill against draft picks with price tags, and the league always wants to be right about its own investments. The locker room picture adds texture. By all accounts, Shilo knew he'd messed up the second he hit the tunnel. Immediate remorse. Staffers had liked the aggression in camp, the special teams juice, the one-on-one competitive streak that had him chirping tight ends and winning reps. Irony is cruel in this business. The same edge that gets you noticed is the blade that cuts you loose if you can't sheath it when the whistle blows. That's not a Sanders problem. That's a league law. And then the fire hose opened. Social media turned the slow-motion replay into a morality play. Half the comments deputized themselves as context police. He ate a sneaky hit. Anyone would swing. And the other half stamped pattern of behavior in the caption and hit post. Old headlines got dredged up. A high school incident, a security guard, a civil judgment that ballooned into 8 figures and eventually bankruptcy. The internet never misses a chance to turn a moment into a resume.
They took him off because
Here's the
the owner
framing
said
that
take him
matters.
off. I don't
Learning
want that
and
guy.
accountability aren't a PR posture. They're a career requirement. If the league can believe you've metabolized your worst moment into a better player tomorrow, you get phone calls. If it can't, you get silence. Antonio Brown, because of course, saw an opening to test the smoke alarms and suggested the whole Sanders family might end up scrubbed from the league. The man is a walking I told you so factory who shows up before anyone tells him anything. Deion didn't bite. No quote tweet war, no live stream, no TMZ cameo. Just a bless your heart level of grace that says more about evolution than any victory dance ever could. Shannon Sharp read the Bible verse as resilience, not rebuke. Chad Johnson nodded, said it tracked with a father backing his sons without bubble wrapping them. That's the cast you needed to see. Agitator, observers, and a dad who chose dignity over dopamine. Now, timing. The Bucks waived Shilo on August 24th, ahead of the league-wide cut-down crush. Michael Irvin floated a theory that actually makes cold sense. Cut the kid early, and he might get lost in the veteran avalanche. Fewer teams willing to burn a waiver claim on a developmental safety when proven names are about to hit the street. Advantage Tampa. If he clears, you sneak him onto the practice squad. This roster chess, not vendetta. Does that guarantee a callback? No. But it reframes the narrative from door slammed to window propped. In a week where the league flushes hundreds of dreams, sometimes the kindest thing a team can do is play the numbers in your favor. Meanwhile, the national shows did what they do. Stephen A. Smith cracked open the Shadur tape and called it bad. No way around it, while still separating a rough afternoon from long-term potential. Dan Orlovsky swatted away the sabotage talk like a mosquito at camp. You really think a head coach in a make-or-break business circled the son of a Hall of Famer and said, "Let's tank this one"? It's insulting to the job, he argued, and he's right. Expectation loves a villain. Reality prefers a depth chart and a stopwatch. And then there's the northbound route. The Toronto Argonauts reportedly put both brothers on their negotiation list, CFL speak for, "If you want to test those waters, we'd like first crack."